Hello, manager. I
Thank
love
you
that.
for doing this. And so what precipitated all of this, just so you guys know, is that sort of as the new landscape is all being defined and as everybody sat on their behinds for months trying to figure out, right, like, are we ever going to go back to work? We start hearing about, all right, things are ramping up again slowly, and that, be prepared for lots of self-tape auditions. And then all of a sudden, well, not be prepared for lots of virtual auditions, because that's sort of where it's going, because you still can't go and be with a lot of people. And then this whole thing about be prepared for shooting in your own homes, because we still can't. So I want to talk about all of that with you, because you just had your first experience with it. And we always do sort of the post audition, post callback, post job sort of unpacking anyway. So this is a good chance to do that. But before that, like, people, if you go like this and cover the beard, like, people will know you from your fame as a small child performer. Yeah. See, you look like Zoom. You look like the Zoom child there, which is very exciting. And people still
I've been
know you
told
from
that I
that.
have not changed.
Well,
Yep.
you've changed a
Every once in
little
a while,
bit. You've
every
changed.
once in a while I get it. A little more. Go a little more. I added a little more hair, but people are still like, I remember you when I was a kid. And I was like, oh, all right then.
Do you like that, by the way, when that happens? Like, you're of this age beyond that, but when somebody sort of, because you've done some work connected with resurrecting the Zoom brand during the pandemic timeout. So is that a good connection for you?
Love it. I think it's great. The whole thing was a really positive experience for me. And usually when people see me or they're reminded of it and they connect me to it, it's always with a positive experience. Like, that's great. Like, when I have someone come up to me and say, like, I remembered you as a kid and it was a horrible show and I hated it, then I'll feel bad. But until then, it's all been positive. So it's just, as long as I'm having a positive impact, I think that's great.
So I want to talk about, can you kind of slowly unpack this experience from, and I don't know whether we shouldn't yet say what this commercial is for that you did, because it's not been released and we are not aware that we have permission to talk about it in terms of the name, but we can certainly talk about the process. So for the actors who are watching, waiting for their first experience to do this, so unpack how it happened. You got a regular audition notice from the commercial agent, right?
This was actually it was a lot quicker. So usually I'll get an email audition notice like, hey, you're requested for this or whatever. Can you do it tomorrow? Whatever it is. For this one, I actually got a text from my agent literally saying, can you do a FaceTime audition in 10 minutes?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, let me sort some stuff around. Give me a second. So I was like out of my house. So I had to like find like a spot that I could be in that was not just crazy busy. And so I jumped on with the casting director. I got the script literally a minute before. They were going to call you in a sec. So I set my phone up on a shelf, chatted for a little bit, literally just like wrote down what the script was on a piece of paper, put it next to my phone, read the lines. I was like, cool, great, awesome, have a great day. And then hung up and left, and then went back for my day. And I was like, okay, that's what we're doing now.
And then, of course, like any audition, you don't think about it again. You do it, it's done, it's over, walk away. So what was the turnaround time before you heard about the callback?
Probably, because we did this,
it was quick.
The whole thing started like 2 weeks ago, 10 days ago.
Yeah.
So I think the callback was like 2 or 3 days later. And it was like, hey, listen, like they want to do a callback tomorrow. Here's the day we're doing it. And I was like, okay. So I made the arrangements to have to be home, because part of the whole thing is that they're going to shoot from your home. So they want to be able to, in the callback, not only talk to you and do the audition, but they want to see the largest room in your house. So just in case, like, what are they going to have to put in there for equipment?
And so this was also, of course, another virtual FaceTime.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay.
This is from Zoom. Yeah. So this one was from Zoom.
Yeah.
It was through Zoom. So we had, scheduled thing, you log in at this time, because there's going to be other people that are coming in for their times. So I jump on, and it's, casting director, producers, which usually when you walk into a room like in person, you kind of walk in, you're just talking to the cam op. and maybe the casting director, and you see a whole panel of people sitting behind a table or sitting a little bit off, and they'll kind of say hi, and the director will like, give their notes. But this was just kind of like, I'm looking at everybody. We're all just like you and me right now. Like I can see everybody's thing going on.
Right. And listen, it's important to also make the point that, because I think actors, we all will forget easily that when we are in a Zoom thingy, for example, where there's lots of people, more than just like me and you, we forget, like in a real meeting, like if this person's talking, then we're all looking at that person, right? But in this situation, we're always on all the time. So you forget, like, oh, you know, you might sort of slouch, you might kind of do something, you might have a reaction to something going on, wouldn't be seen normally by other people in the room, but is seen by everybody when it's in that kind of platform. So I want to go, no, remember, you're always on, you're always being looked at. So you have to remember that.
No, 100%. So I think like I put it on, I usually, when I do Zoom things anyway, I have it on gallery view because I like to see everybody. I don't like having the camera shifting. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on. So it's like just seeing, you know, like 4 or 5 people all kind of hunched over. I'm like, oh, you're not, got it. Okay, great. Here we go. So, you know, I kind of picked up my computer and kind of spun around and like, here's the space. It's about this big, blah, blah, blah. Let's go on. Literally like ran through the lines again, and director jumped in and was like, hey, do it this way. Did it. Cool. Literally the whole process took 2 minutes.
And how many people were in on this Zoom meeting callback?
I'm probably like 6 or 7.
Yeah. So the agents, probably agency people, you know,
little agency.
Yeah.
Client, agency, director, producers. Actually, I don't think agency was on this one. I think it was just director and producer. And like maybe 1 or 2 people from the ad agency, but not from the client. But the only people that I interacted with were just casting director and the director. But literally, because we have dogs at home, so my girlfriend was like, I'll take the dogs for a walk. Like I'll give you like, you know, we figured, you know, half an hour, like 20 minutes, whatever. She goes out, I pop it open. In like a minute, I was like, oh, I'm done. So it was like the most efficient audition that I think I've ever been to in 20 plus years, because I'm not sitting waiting in a room.
Yeah. So what did it feel like auditioning like that? Did you feel sort of any more confident, or did you feel less? You know, I mean, we all know about sort of the energy that happens in the room while you're waiting, and the nerves that kind of, you know, while you see other people coming. Like, what for you, this first experience at this, like what was that like the waiting for it and then the doing of it?
This whole process really felt a little bit more comfortable than some of the times when I've been physically in the room. I think that, especially for LA, for commercial auditions anyway, theatrical is a little bit of a different prep, a little bit of a different feel. But I think that a lot of times when I got into commercial auditions, usually, you know, you're going to be in the room for like maybe 5 minutes, if that. But it's, you know, getting traffic to get there, finding parking, sitting there waiting because you know they're running behind, and you know someone's going to sit there and ask you like, oh, do you mind switching with me? Because like I have another thing like across town, and I've got like 4 other appointments. Like, so it gets a little, like the vibe can get a little tense. But it's also at the same time, you like most of the time, like a lot of people just show up and they're just like, you know, just everyone's just kind of sitting on their phone like, all right, like I guess it's time. Like, okay, cool. You go in and you do your thing. But in the room, sometimes it can feel, trying to think of the best way to describe it. Sometimes there's a perceived power dynamic. Nobody knows what this character is going to be. No one knows what this role is going to be. It's, I'm going to come here. This is how I see it. If you want to play around, let's play around. Let's see if we want to work together. And I think for doing it virtually, I'm in my own home. I'm, you know, like I'm feeling comfortable. I'm sitting on a couch and I'm like, all right, cool. Like, how's everyone doing? Here's a script. This is like, let's play. And, you know, we play for a minute and then we move on. I think because there wasn't so much of like, you're waiting to like lead up to it and you hear like other people like, oh, I like the product a lot. I like the product a lot. You don't get that kind of, you don't start to second guess yourself because there's no time for it.
So the good news is, and thank you for sharing that, it's important. You got the job.
Yeah. Like gave it a few days because I was like, the commercial, like, we'll see what happens because there's no sense in waiting on things that you can't change. And then got a call from my agent, and then
Mhm.
connected you guys all up, and we're just like, oh, so now comes like, now is where everything else was different. Like, it's fine, doing this remotely, not very much different than a self tape. Um, but now it's like, after that, after getting the job and saying, cool, production's going to reach out to you, then it's like, oh,
Because part of
okay,
this deal was that you were to shoot this in your home using, they were going to send you stuff to do it with, right?
yeah, yeah. So that was part of the callback when they wanted to see, they wanted measurements of the space, they wanted photos of the room, of like the biggest room in your house,
Mhm.
because yeah, I can see how it could be stressful, but luckily this production, it was so painless. It was great. We're gonna do then a tech day where
Mhm.
I'm on the phone with someone from production to learn how to set everything up.
Mhm.
Then we're gonna have another day where we're actually doing like a remote check. Does the camera work? Is everything connecting to each other? And then we'll have a shoot day. So normally for a commercial, for most work, that's kind of like a quick 1 day thing. It's
Yeah.
cool. You book the job. Here's the day that you have to go for your fitting. Show up, try your clothes on. Great. Show up on set, do your job, and go home. And now we've added, 3-4 days of different things.
And
Um,
there's compensation for those days and those different things, right? So I don't think
yes, yes, yes,
actually
yes.
other people are realizing yet that there's money, more money to be made doing it this way too for the actor potentially.
There is, yes. Since I'm going to essentially be PAs, grip, DP, all this stuff, they do have there's a little side money that comes from that, which is nice. I think if I realized how much work would have gone into it, I probably would have been like, well, but like I
Mhm.
said, this production was so seamless.
Mhm.
So we get our kit dropped off, and like boxes and light stands and the whole thing. The next day, I have one of the members from the camera team outside of my house with one of the grips outside of my house, and they are fully masked up, PPE and all that. And they're basically just there to walk me through setting everything up, how to set. Like, they built the camera, they built as much stuff as they can, and so I just kind of have to like put the pieces together and like, oh, cool, camera stand goes here, camera locks in like this plug goes to here. We were setting up legit studio lights and like real expensive camera equipment, cables, and all this stuff. And so it was cool though, and I loved it because usually, like, for me as an actor, I like to hang around on set. So if I get banished to my trailer between setups, I usually just kind of go there and I'm just sitting around. I would rather be on set. I want to learn. I want to see all the stuff that's going on because I think it's really fascinating. And if there's any stuff that is happening that, as an actor being on set, I can be better aware of to make someone else's job easier, then like that's even better and just makes the day more fun. So that was really cool because I got to, talking to the director, we got a little bit more kind of talking about what the shoot's going to be like. What are these shots looking like? So it again kind of it made me feel a little more part of the team. Just like we're actually collaborating on like, oh, this is why this is going to happen. This is why this is going to happen. Like that kind of stuff that you always hear, especially in commercials. Commercials are usually so like a pretty fast production that it's like, oh, actor in, actor get out of the way, we got stuff to do, and then we'll put you back in for the work you need to do. So that was really cool. This, I will say, is probably the best part of it. Is my call time was 6:30, so my butt was out of bed at 6 o'clock, and it was fantastic. It is
No commute.
no
Nice.
commute.
Nice.
I got to wake up, went to my own bathroom, had my own breakfast, and turned everything on. I was like, all right, let's do this. I was kind of first in the schedule for setting up all the stuff for shooting. So I really got to be part of like, oh, let's find where the kinks are. So for me, that's exciting. What was really cool about this is that I actually got to be on with the agency and with client, which usually on commercials, actors aren't part of those conversations.
No, they're sort of
where
off in the pit over there somewhere, and there's a
exactly,
disconnect between what's happening on the set and whatever it is that they're talking about. So that's great.
exactly. So that was really kind of cool, because as I'm like talking with the director, talking with the DP, trying to figure out, we're like make sure we get the angles right, all this and the other thing, they're kind of talking about things that they want to see. And that for me was really fascinating. So
Right.
that just I felt a lot more empowered. I also felt for this particular commercial, so it's this is kind of one of those commercials that you see just, you know, the actor straight on kind of going through a bunch of lines,
Mm-hmm.
which sometimes on a set when you get everyone around you you can feel a little bit of pressure with sometimes, but you also feel like you're there and you're performing for everyone and you don't necessarily have as much control over it. For me, I felt like I had a ton of control and collaborative input.
Gives you the opportunity to have a different kind of interaction and relationship with all of these other people who are more likely to want to work with you again if they find this has been a great experience in this process for them, because this is new for them too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that was one of the things that we all kept talking about. My whole day for that shoot was, I was technically working from like 6:30 to 10, and I had no travel time. And literally afterwards, like, shut it down. I had tech people outside of my house the night, like within an hour, to help break down the set that I had in the house. They took it away, and then I had my house back, and then I slept for like 12 hours, and then it was exhausted. But yeah, and then it was great.
And by the way, it's very interesting because you are forced to become a hyphenate, whether or not you wanted to, and everybody needs to, but you are instantly put in this position of, well, I may not know this now, but I'm coming out of this experience, I got another acting credit, although commercials don't go on your resume, but you've earned this other thing, right? But you've also learned these other things, which I think it's added value to the job.
100%. It was great. It was just an amazing learning experience.
Well, I'm glad you had the chance to do this because, like it or not, this is the new normal, right? This is what it's going to be, and it is a new challenge for people who are not yet comfortable with how to do this. You know, so in a way, you're kind of a pioneer. Certainly, in your group, you're a pioneer. So now you just wait for the check, right? And you just sort of wait for the next audition, and it feels good, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And it's
great.
You know, like we as actors right now, you know, we've been doing a lot of self tapes before the pandemic anyway. It kind of gave me some ideas on how to do self tapes a little bit differently to better, you know,
I really appreciate this. This is great. This is great. And we'll have to do this periodically so that the other actors can monitor your progress through all of this. Stay safe. I'll talk to you in 10 minutes probably. And you're a good guy. And I think I'll keep you on the roster for another day or two.
At least until the check's clear. That's fine.
Right.
No, thank you for having me.
The truth is, no, I love this man. I adore this man. And just, it's forever. God, long time. Have a wonderful day.
Yeah.
We'll speak anon. And thank you.
Yes.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.